Welcome to the podcast Lost in Creativity. The next guest is Najoua, and she is a novelist from Holland, and she wrote her second book. And the first book, she recently published her second book, and that first book she gave it to the mayor of Rotterdam, which is Abu Talib. She got great responses on the first book. National newspaper wrote about it, and also magazine Lala wrote about it, and they loved it. So enjoy the conversation here.
Welcome viewers from the podcast Lost in Creativity. Today we have a special guest, and her name is Najoua Martin. I pronounce it a little bit like French because I like Paris, etc., etc.
I love Paris too.
Yeah, and we know each other actually for a long time already.
Yeah.
So welcome in the podcast. And,
thank you.
And let's start.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me here at the Amsterdam Dutch Design Hotel.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
It's a nice place.
Yeah, it's a lot of art and very creative. I also brought you a gift.
Oh.
This is one of the first copies of my translated novel, Lala, Rosa Girls. It's the English translation of my book.
All right then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, thanks for it to you.
Thank you very much. That's nice. We're gonna set it over here.
Thanks.
Because this is the new one, and it's the
well, it was published in Dutch, but in July this year it was launched. Not officially launched, but it's available. Due to the pandemics, we couldn't have an actual book launch in the US in Boston.
Oh, that was supposed to be in Boston.
Yes.
All right.
But it was too much hassle with the lockdown.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
So this winter we'll be launching in Boston. I hope you can be there.
Yeah, I do my best. I do my best, for sure. All right. I want to go back to your youth, when you was a little child or a youth, and what kind of child you was, or what?
Yeah, I think I was definitely I had some things going on, like I wouldn't play a lot with other kids, and I would have as my siblings described, a large imagination. So that was a specific character detail of my.
That's a good one.
Yeah, my younger self.
Yes. Very good one. Yeah.
So I was playing a lot by myself. I was imagining all sorts of things, like I was playing in Rome, or I would use just a bed sheet and dress up like Julius Caesar or a weird character.
And maybe can you remember the first time you saw some art, or you saw a performance, or something caught you? Yeah,
so my childhood wasn't so. We had quite a difficult childhood. We had a father that was very sick and dying. My mother was working 2 shifts and suffered from a depression, so we had quite a difficult childhood.
Harsh.
We also lived in this area which we can call a ghetto.
Which you come from the city Rotterdam, isn't it?
The harbor, in the center of the harbor. So we were surrounded by a lot of criminal activities. So we were mostly at home.
Not so inspiring.
Well, in the end, it did.
Or maybe, at the end,
yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I have very edgy characters, but my dad, even though he was very sick, he was very into storytelling. He liked art. So he would bring us to the museum when we were young.
And sorry to interrupt, and also storytelling before you're going to sleep?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's
it was this, I would say, this Arab African storytelling tradition, and the stories would take for hours.
Hours?
Yes,
okay.
Sometimes throughout the day, several days.
It followed up.
Yes.
After.
And he was very into art, so he would bring us to a museum. He would bring us to, when he had good days, he would actually inspire us to search for art, to listen to Mozart.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it common in the culture, or in the because?
Yeah, it comes very
give a
interesting.
description about
Yeah.
where you was born and
Yeah, so my parents are from the Arab Andalusian culture.
Andalusian.
Yeah, it's a very rich culture. They have a very
South Spain, eh?
it's also northern of Morocco.
Okay, that's good
a
for
lot
the
of people
viewers.
know that.
Yeah, that's a good one because
Yeah, so the folk of Andalusia at some point was driven to Morocco, and they kept the tradition going on. We have very specific
alive.
music, yeah, for specific arts and culture.
Even flamingos, or
We
influenced the flamingo
well,
or the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry
so
for my side step, but
no, it's a good one because our Arab Andalusian music, it does sound a little bit like, I would say, like the flamingo, or
Yeah.
the lute is very similar.
that's a little instrument with.
Yes, we have beautiful concerts, and I remember my grandma used to, during weddings or celebration, there was this whole mini concerts in the living room with Andalusian music.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And that's a part of your youth, and there was
Yeah.
a lot of music, and you were visiting the museum. And what was the moment that you starting with writing, or that you used your imagination to give it a channel, or to
to
bring
really
it out
actually,
there? Yeah.
So when my dad died, I wanted to keep his legacy by collecting all the memories and writing down the stories he told us. But for some reason I forgot most of the story and just started making my own story. So I started with the first word, and it became a complete different story.
But actually you want to keep the history alive, or
Yes.
in some way,
Yeah.
but in your way, of course.
Yeah, and it was a story about superheroes and
okay.
fiction and fantasy, and I made my own story, and I really like doing it.
And you and actually you had your own world
Yes.
where you can,
Yeah.
it's some kind of escapism, or.
Yeah, it is actually. Writing stories, it could be for some people a way to escape.
Yeah.
To me, it definitely was a way to escape and create a story.
Yeah, because of the situation,
Yeah.
what you were telling me. So
It did help me, and yeah, it was a way to escape, but it's also a way to feel the life of other people or characters, or I will say that I was also influenced by reading comics like the Hulk and Spider-Man, and these two in specific.
the very cliche
Yeah.
superheroes.
Superheroes, and so I have this thing with people having double lives, but also being good, but also
The good
storing
and the
this
bad.
anger.
And
Yes.
the shadow side and the.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
good and they're not bad, but there's
okay.
a pain somewhere that causes them to do something, or they have to hide their identity and
And it's
pretend.
all. And sorry to interrupt, but it's also
It is, yeah.
some ingredients of your book.
Yeah, so this
Because I don't want to spoil. But
yeah, so this story is actually the first story I wrote because I like writing it. Most of my work, whether it was for magazine or it didn't matter.
No.
They always expect you to write something from your cultural background and how difficult it is to be in Holland while I was born here.
Oh yeah.
And I have absolutely no. It's not that it's not important, but I like to write other stuff, and I don't like to write depressing literature. I like something
and
very.
the world is actually very.
It's depressing
depressing,
enough.
yeah? Depressing enough.
Can just
Yeah. And Najoua, when did you discover that you had some talent? Actually, sometimes you don't know what's your talent, and maybe sometimes it start later. But there must be something that you say,
Yes.
okay, I like writing, or I have fantasy, and
Yeah, it's quite very, very funny, and if you have some time. So
we have.
So not only did we live in a difficult environment, and a father who was sick and died, and my mother who worked 2 shifts, I also suffered from some problems at school. I didn't have problems in school, but the minute I could go to high school, they sent me to the lowest high school ever. So I did not have any chance to study or to go to college.
So they keep you under, or?
Yeah, they kept
Some
me
way?
underprivileged.
Yeah.
We were underprivileged. And
Oh my God. Oh
sure,
my
we
God.
stayed there.
Yeah.
So I was told I didn't need to study because I would be married at the age of 16. So I went to the school where they teach you how to cook, they teach you how to clean, and luckily enough, there was something good that came out of that. They taught me how to type. So
that's a good one.
thanks to that school. So at the time when I finished that school, I was like, I have no chance in having a career. My life sucks and it's going to be nothing. I mean, that feels very heavy, but it is when you're told that you will not accomplish anything and you're very young. I was like, 14 years old.
Insecure or not?
Well, in the beginning I did, because I felt, I can't go to college, but I had to do it step by step. So after that school, I went to another school and I studied pedagogic works. And it was this teacher, a Dutch, he taught Dutch, and he asked me to write something for the newsletter. And my dad just died, so I write something about my dad. And he came back to me when I wrote that. He said, "You're so talented. You should do something with this." And I remember his name is Huoth. I tried to find this person, but I couldn't find him anymore. And I only had, I think, 5 lessons from him because he was a substitute teacher. But he's the one that
But it made impact.
It made a difference. So
impact in some way. And
So after that, I started writing my fiction, fantasy fiction, and I went to a lecture of another writer in the neighborhood, and then in the audience I saw this good-looking Dutch guy with sunglasses in the dark, and I thought, I think he's the publisher. So I went to him and I told him I write, and he was actually very open. He said, "Well, could you send me what you're writing?" So the first month I didn't send him anything, and then he actually gave me a phone call. He said, "I'm still waiting for your work."
He was a little bit afraid, or?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Because
you had the courage to approach him.
Yeah, I had that courage, yes, but I was like, nah.
Okay.
No way. So I sent him, I think, 10 pages, and he said, "You definitely have talent."
So he was impressed.
Yes, his name is Oscar van Gelderen. He was my first publisher. And this book is dedicated to him because in the end he wasn't just a publisher, he was also my inspirator to search for art such as street art that I recognize myself in. Yeah, he has this broad range of music.
He was a good mentor.
People.
Mentor.
Yeah, he taught me that it's okay to be an underdog.
And yeah, because that's quite interesting, because I see, maybe I exaggerate, but out of the misery, you make something beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's very nice.
People can be like phoenixes.
Extracted out of the misery.
You fall and then you rise
again. It looks like people who writing love songs, or when they are in misery, then
there's hope.
The most beautiful things will arise, for sure.
And it's also that not only for in my development, I also started, I subscribed for a bachelor for college and so on. So I did many studies. I used to be afraid, but then I liked learning, so I continued. I'm actually still studying, and it never stops. It never stops. No.
And Najoua, when do you get your best ideas?
So there are 2 processes to get your best ideas. One is, so we have the actual writing or making process, but we also have the inspiration process, and those are 2 different things. The inspiration process can take years sometimes, or months, or
Has it
weeks.
Something to do with the 10,000 hour rule?
I don't know the rule, but I think it applies.
Yeah, it's a rule from repeating over and over again, year after year, and then you're coming better and better.
So something you feel something is happening, but you don't really feel it yet, but you know it's there.
You can touch it, but you have some knowledge of it.
And that's also the energy part. Is yeah, you feel
Oh yeah, you have
something.
two parts, the
Yeah,
energy
two
and the
part.
process. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I do, for example, go see art. I have some favorite paintings that are inspiring me.
Like?
Saint John the Baptiste of Da Vinci in Paris, Paris.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
Yeah.
The sunflowers and the,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So, but also music.
Impressionism, yeah.
Yeah. Also music, and the other thing is that I like to observe people, their expressions.
Okay. For characters, or
yeah, just feel emotions. I really get charged from seeing and feeling emotions.
because you have a lot of description about the characters.
Yes, yes.
So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though they have dark sides, but it comes from a naive, true emotion, and everything
Pure.
else. Yes,
It's pure.
Yeah. Emotion sets everything into.
Yeah, the nice thing I like, but maybe it sounds strange, the dark side, because we people we have two sides and also the dark side.
Yeah.
And for a lot of artists, it's very interesting to dig into the dark side, because I think there happens a lot, and that you can translate or you can mold it to another shape.
It's also when a character is completely the opposite of what you are, and then you try to get there and to understand a character, or I mean, also humans you've seen or dealt with, and then you understand what what drives them to do weird stuff or to be mean, or
it has a connection, the dark side and the drive, and very interesting.
And in the end, it's always the same elements: being accepted, feeling safe and secure, and acknowledged.
Yeah. I'm thinking on the pyramid of Maslow, but
it's
one subject.
Yes.
So, yeah, and in general, what motivates you? Because when you start to writing, you need some motivation, and someday you don't have the energy for it, and another day you're on fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the second process. It's actually the making. And that's different. That's really hard work, being dedicated and devoted.
And you have also gray areas in that, in development, because sometimes you can put other.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Because you can also just let something to rest, and then come back to it later. This is not the only story I wrote. I have 5, 6 stories that have not been published, but they're just waiting there.
Okay, and how do you register it, or how do you file it, or do you have a drawer, or how do you go along with the ideas? Do you write it down, or you make a drawing, or you speak it?
It's in my head.
Yeah.
Well, yes, sometimes I make some notes, but it seems to, sometimes just when a character says something or I feel something, I just write it down. But for some reason, working from notes doesn't work for me.
Not. Okay.
So I just collect. I just
stack
it up. Yeah. So what I do is, if you write a story, you have to have a goal within the story. So that's the blueprint I will work on before writing, and then I just let everything. I just let it flow.
Yeah, and then you come in a flow state. And how can you describe when you're in a flow state? Because there's a lot of things happening when you're in flow state. How can you describe the flow state?
The flow state is quite strange, because it's like being in
vacuum.
Yeah, they say there's a nothing box. And I think the nothing box.
Not out of the box, but
in the box. The nothing box. So it's really being consumed by the story. To me, it's also waking up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, opening the doors over the windows and smelling fresh air, and then starting to write 2, 3 hours.
And then you're in a situation that there is no time, actually.
Yes.
Time
no
dissolves.
Noises.
No noises.
No disruptions. I also notice when I'm writing, you'll find me walking around in a very old pair of jeans, trying to be invisible.
I can't imagine. I
No.
can't imagine because you look always,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, very good dressed. Yeah. Okay. And that's how it works in flow states. And how do you feel after it? Because
Yeah. So then.
relieved or excited, or maybe your energy is dropped down.
Yeah, it does. So the consuming energy, or being inspired, is actually the nicest stage, because that's all about free.
Yeah.
Consumption,
associations,
yes.
assumptions,
Yeah.
everything comes through, and then you're making connections. And
Yeah.
how do you select the good ideas? Because there's
Yeah.
also a selection process
You have to
in
kill.
it.
So when the editing starts,
The editing.
first you edit yourself, and an editor will be involved. That's where you actually have to kill your darlings.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just have to. And sometimes you have these great ideas that sound fantastic, or some sentences that are absolutely brilliant, but they don't fit in the story, or a character could never say them or think them. So you just have to kill them.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's not bad.
And Najoua, when do we say, okay, now it's ready, now it's finished,
Yeah.
and now it's ready to give it to the world?
It's
Because
interesting.
that's all.
It's also a little bit like, what project am I dedicated to?
But let's say this book.
Yeah, I'm still very dedicated to Rosa, because I believe it's a funny, dark comedy, and I noticed that it doesn't matter which part of the world, people understand it, and they recognize things, or they find it maybe a little bit crazy and surprising. So I also have other stories, but their time will come, I think.
Yeah, for every story is a time, isn't
Yes.
it? So, actually, speaking about time, we're going in a rocket.
Oh, did I talk that much?
No, I think we're in the flow.
Yeah.
In the flow right now.
That's great. Yeah.
But I want to finish with the menu of creativity, and then you can say one or the other. So
Interesting.
interesting, yeah.
Yes.
Indeed. Okay, when I say talent, is it a curse or a blessing?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
But you must choose one.
It's always a blessing.
All right.
I think it can be a curse if you don't know how to deal with it,
That's
or you don't know what
important.
comes along with it. Like marketing has nothing to do with
crucial.
talent. Yeah.
But it's crucial.
Yeah.
For artists.
So I would advise artists to always look a little bit into business administration, and I studied business administration.
Because
at
that's your
some point.
background.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah, I work also in the field of law, touching law.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that the creative process, and then you have to do something with it. It's a whole different area, and try to understand what happens with it is very important.
Actually, you have an assignment when you have talent.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself. I must do something with the talent.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste it.
Yeah.
There's assignment in it.
And I love your Paris runway shows. I think
thank you.
I really love them. I think it's a great accomplishment. It's dedication, planning, fighting for your product.
Yeah. Fighting.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
But every discipline has some struggles. So.
Yeah.
And okay, the next one is complexity or simplicity.
Simplicity is the biggest complexity you can deal with.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
going to say it again. Simplicity is?
Simplicity is, for me, when I writing simple is very difficult. It's for me so much easier to blur a lot of complicated words that express a emotion or an emotion.
Yeah.
So writing simple is quite a challenge.
Yeah. Same way here. If they say, okay, can you make a simple dress? Yeah, I like complexity.
Yeah.
I love complexity.
Yeah.
And from the complexity, I bring it down to simplicity. But that's the difficult one.
It's like the elixir of creativity, and that's one drop is simplicity. Yeah.
I can say it better than you.
Thank you. I'm on fire.
You're on fire. Definite. Okay, nature or city? Which
nature,
environment?
nature,
Nature, you like
absolutely.
nature, all
yeah.
right.
Eagles and
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Rippling around.
Pine trees.
Yeah, all right. And reading or movies?
Well, when I write, I have a hard time reading because I have the tendency to be too much influenced by a great book. Right now it's movies, but I have also a phase where I just read.
But you don't want to get influenced in
I
some way?
I don't want to copy books at some point.
Yeah,
or,
that's interesting.
So this book, The History of Love by Nicola Krauss is fantastic. So I keep reading and reading it all
That's
over
also
again.
a tip for you guys?
Yes, Nicola Krauss, The History of Love, definitely.
History of Love. And the voyage or the destination?
The destination.
Oh, all right.
Because
I thought the voyage
because you have to make the voyage anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But in the voyage, there it's happening. There it's existing.
So it's
there you give it birth.
Yeah. So it's possible that there's a destination, but then I think, hey, many ways lead to Rome, or let's not go to Rome and find another destination. No, that's also possible.
Let's go through to Dubai or something.
Yes.
And chaos or order?
What do you mean?
Chaos?
Oh yeah. No, chaos.
Oh, you like chaos?
Absolutely,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I like to order. Look, our
is that
universe
a women thing?
It's maybe the universe is created out of chaos and then it starts to regulate itself. So I believe that regulation comes automatically. You just need to let go.
Yeah, it's a good one for this period we're in.
Yeah, it will solve itself eventually.
Yeah, I think. I think it is well.
And it's also a little bit the sense that we cannot direct everything.
Yeah, and we want to direct everything.
Yeah.
Or we.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. Perfection or experiment?
Experiment.
Experiment.
Yes.
Aha. And are you make you a list and do you check it off?
Yeah,
or
to-do
are
list.
you more procrastinator?
Both.
Both.
So
okay.
in a free creative process, I'm just no to-do list.
A no to-do list.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard it.
But then there's the production side, and then I can be like a
yeah, that's
yeah.
Then you have the checkbox.
A horrible.
Okay,
planner.
maybe more procrastinator.
Yes.
And are you an early bird or night owl?
I like to be an early bird.
The early bird.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I think good stuff happens early in the morning when everyone is still asleep.
Yeah, then you get ahead of the day.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and there are those days where I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm done working at 8 or 9. You know, and then you have like the whole day ahead of you.
Yeah, that's a nice feeling. Okay. Wow, Najoua. And do you have some tips for the viewers, maybe?
I would say buy this book.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon and I think Kobo. I forgot, but it's definitely available on Amazon. And write your review, and you can ask any questions.
Where can they find you?
Well, I have an Instagram page. Just a couple of days ago was set up for me.
It is alive?
It's live, the Instagram page,
right.
so you can find me there and I'll try to respond to you.
Nice. Okay. Now, nice to have you over here.
Thank you, and also thank you for we've been acquaintanced, friends for 20 years now, I think. So,
20 years already?
Yes.
Wow, time flies. All right.
Yeah.
And thanks for the gift. And we're gonna put a link below, so they can find you anyway.
Yeah. And I look forward to the book launch in the US. Yeah.
That's the next one.
Be there.
The next big thing.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Viewers, this was Najoua, and keep on dreaming and be creative as you can be. Do you want a copy of this book from Najoua Martin? So there's one thing you can do: like and share this podcast, and maybe you're the winner of this book. Go ahead.